Hey guys, welcome to the end of the third round of CPW where we finish off our studies with science ACT practice. Today we're going to select one piece of data from a simple data presentation. Then we'll find basic information in text that describes a complex data presentation. Then we're going to perform a simple extrapolation using data in a table or graph. We'll find basic information in text that describes a complex experiment. And we know we're going to be successful when we can analyze the relationship between a given trend line and the axes of a graph, connect information in text to a given graph, predict an answer based on reading past the trend line of a graph, and read complex text to determine appropriate use of scientific vocabulary. In our first question, it asks, in experiment 1, the sample solution was yellow at which of the following values for the volume of titrant added? Experiment 1 goes with figure 1, so we're going to refer to the graph in the bottom left-hand corner of your sheet. Looking at the graph, I see that I have a key where the dotted line where the dots are really close together means that the solution was yellow. So I highlighted that trend line in yellow. Upon following the end of that trend line, I see that the x-axis says it's volume of titrant added, which matches the question that I was asked. But now I need to look at the actual numbers on the x-axis, and the numbers range from 0 to 1.00. The only answer out of all our options that fits is A, as 0.8 is within this range where the solution was yellow. In question 2, it asks, in experiment 2, the sample solution was neutral at which of the following values for the volume of titrant added? For this question, you have to have a little bit of background knowledge in chemistry, where a neutral solution means that the amount of acid is equal to the amount of base. In middle school, you should have learned about the pH scale. And if the pH of a solution is less than 6, that means it's acidic, which is why they're both in yellow. Or it's blue if the pH, or it's a base if the pH is greater than 7. And because the indicator would be blue, base is blue. Now, when we have equal amounts of yellow and blue, we're going to get a green solution. So a green solution means that it's neutral. So looking at the graph, I see that the color of the solution was green as the volume of titrant was added increased to 0.95 milliliters to 1.0. So this 1.0 number that's in the description of the color of solution becomes my answer for this problem. In question 3, it asks, in experiment 1, if 2.30 milliliters of titrant had been added to the sample solution, the conductivity most likely would have been what? So I'm looking at my scale, that volume of titrant added, and I see that I end at 2.00 milliliters. But the question is asking for 2.30, which is beyond the scope of the information that I've been given. So on my sheet, I'm going to draw an extension of the x-axis, and I'm going to predict where 2.3 would have been. Then I'm going to extend or extrapolate that trend line until it matches my prediction of where 2.3 is going to be. Then I'm going to take this intersection point and I'm going to draw a line to the y-axis where it's about conductivity. And you guys might have noticed that the units for conductivity were also in all of my answers. So that makes me know that this is the axis I know my answer is going to come from. So because the red line extends all the way to about 4.5, that means that the answer to number 3 is D. The conductivity would be greater than 3.80 kiloseconds per centimeter. In experiment 2, which solution was the titrant and which solution was the sample solution? So we have 4 different options here. In the beginning paragraph, it tells us that precise volumes of a titrant, an acid or a base, are added incrementally, while a sample solution is what's being added to. So to give you a visual, in a beaker or other container, we would have our sample solution, and we would be adding a titrant to that. So in experiment 1, it tells us that the NaOH solution, the sodium hydroxide solution, was slowly added to. So we're looking at this word added to, and because they match, that implies that the NaOH is our titrant. And in experiment 1, the HCl solution is my known solution or my sample solution. In experiment 2, it tells us that experiment 1 was repeated, which is why it was important to go back to experiment 1. The difference was that acetic acid or vinegar was used instead of hydrochloric acid. So because hydrochloric acid was our sample solution, that implies the acetic acid was also our sample solution. So looking at our options, I know that NaOH is my titrant, what was being added to the sample, so that eliminates A and B. But because in experiment 2 we used acetic acid, that also eliminates D, so we have a final answer of C. So to round up our answers from CPW this week, it was 1A, 2B, 3D, and 4C. See you in round 4.